I never thought my own parents would testify against me in open court, their voices dripping with rehearsed sorrow as they painted me as the monster who ruined their golden boy of a son. But there I was, staring at the back of my own head, my former head, perched smugly in the prosecutor's chair, wearing my face like a stolen trophy. The irony burned hotter than the courtroom's stale air. I'd swapped bodies with my twin brother, Ethan, in a freak accident at a shady biotech firm, and now he was framing me for embezzlement to cover his tracks, while our parents lapped up his lies like gospel truth. One yellowed lab report, smudged with my real fingerprints, slipped from my trembling hand onto the judge's bench like a guillotine blade. It wasn't just evidence. It was the detonator to the bomb I'd buried in my soul for 6 agonizing months, the proof that Ethan had engineered the swap himself, not as an accident, but to escape the noose of his own crimes tightening around his neck. The gavel cracked like thunder, but the real storm was just beginning. I'd clawed my way back from hell in Ethan's lanky, unfamiliar skin, learning to mimic his swagger, his laugh, even the way he knotted his ties too tight. Now, with the truth unraveling on that faded paper, I was ready to drag them all down, parents, brother, the whole rotten empire they'd built on my back. Revenge wasn't sweet. It was a jagged blade, and I was about to carve my name into their bones. The fluorescent hum overhead was the soundtrack to my unraveling that sweltering July afternoon in Chicago's Cook County Courthouse. Sweat beaded on Ethan's forehead, trickling down in a way that felt alien, like my body was betraying me twice over. I shifted in the ill-fitting suit jacket that hung loose on his broader shoulders, the fabric scratching at the stubble I still wasn't used to shaving every morning. Across the aisle, my parents sat ramrod straight, Evelyn in her pearl necklace and navy sheath dress, Harold in his crisp seersucker suit, both of them the picture of Midwestern respectability. They'd flown in from our family estate in the Wisconsin Dells, all faux concern and whispered prayers, but I knew better. Their eyes flicked to me, the imposter in my petite frame, hair pulled back in a severe bun, fidgeting with the hem of a pencil skirt that used to hug my hips like a second skin. Melanie Harper, the prosecutor intoned, his voice oily as Lake Michigan fog, "You stand accused of siphoning over $2 million from Harper Biotech's R&D slush fund. Your own family has come forward with irrefutable evidence of your greed and deceit." He gestured dramatically toward my parents, who nodded in unison, Evelyn dabbing at her eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief. I wanted to scream, "That's not me, you blind fools. That's Ethan, puppeteering my body like a goddamn ventriloquist dummy." But I couldn't.
Not yet.
The swap had left me stranded in this mail shell, my voice a gravelly baritone that cracked on high notes, my mannerisms too soft for Ethan's Wall Street polish. 6 months of therapy sessions disguised as gender dysphoria counseling had been my cover. Hell, I'd even started T-blockers to explain the changes to anyone who noticed. But the judge, a stern woman named Hargrove with silver streaks in her bob and a no-bullshit glare, wasn't buying my increasingly frantic objections. Not without proof. As Evelyn took the stand, her voice quavered just enough to sell the performance. "We raised Melanie to be better than this, Your Honor. She was always jealous of Ethan, our boy wonder, the one who built Harper Biotech from a garage startup into a powerhouse. But this? Stealing from the company that put food on our table? It's unforgivable." Harold chimed in, his bass rumble steady as a freight train. "We found the ledgers in her apartment, hidden under her mattress, like some common thief. Our daughter. We don't even recognize her anymore."
Lies.
All of it. The ledgers were Ethan's handiwork, forged in the dead of night while he lounged in my loft overlooking the loop, sipping my favorite Cabernet and scrolling through my contacts like a king surveying his spoils. I'd borne the brunt of his sins before the swap, laundering his dirty money through my nonprofit for at-risk girls, signing off on falsified grants because he swore it was just this once. Our parents doted on him, the prodigy who dropped out of Stanford to chase biotech dreams, while I, the steady one with my MBA and social work degree, got pats on the head and keep the home fires burning lectures. Betrayal? It started in the womb, twins fighting for scraps of their approval. The swap happened on a rain-slicked night in Ethan's lab, tucked away in an industrial park on the south side. He'd been dabbling in neural mapping tech, uploading consciousness to the cloud, body-hopping for the elite who could afford eternal youth. "It's the future, Mel." He'd grinned over takeout Thai, his eyes gleaming with that manic spark I used to mistake for genius. "Imagine, no more aging, no more limits. You could run the company with me. Finally step out of my shadow." I laughed it off, but curiosity bit. I'd always been the fixer, the one who cleaned up his messes, covering for his coke-fueled benders in college, ghostwriting his pitch decks for investors. That night, buzzed on his prototype serum, I volunteered as test subject for a simple sync. Electrodes on our temples, a whir of servers, and then blackout. Waking up in his body was like drowning in oil, thick, suffocating, every nerve firing wrong. My breasts gone, replaced by flat pecs that heaved with panic. His long fingers, his fingers clawing at the mirror, seeing his chiseled jaw, his blue eyes staring back in horror. Ethan, in my body, bolted upright across the room, shrieking in my soprano. "What the fuck, Mel? Fix this." We tried.
God, we tried.
Reversal protocols, frantic calls to black market neurologists. But the servers crashed mid-upload, corrupted data frying the pathways. "It's permanent," one doc muttered over a burner phone, his fee wired in crypto. "Neural engrams have fused. You're each other now." Ethan panicked, but not like me. He saw opportunity. In my body, smaller, unassuming, he could vanish, pin the company's mounting debts on Melanie's gambling habit, a backstory he invented overnight. He'd been cooking the books for years, funneling R&D cash into offshore accounts to fund his real vice, experimental swaps for Silicon Valley billionaires, the kind that left donors comatose if they glitched. I took the fall once before, forging signatures to bail him out of an SEC probe. Now he'd make it stick forever. For weeks, I played along from his penthouse, fielding calls from venture capitalists, signing checks in his looping scrawl. But doubt crept in his emails, encrypted folders I cracked with a borrowed laptop. Blueprints for Project Echo, not accident, but design. He'd rigged the serum to trigger mid-argument, knowing I'd fight him on the ethics. Collateral, one memo read. Subject, Melanie Harper. Asset, body disposal via legal frame-up. Rage bloomed, slow and venomous. I started small. Anonymous tips to the feds, buried under noise. Then bolder, hacking my personal accounts, siphoning pennies to build a war chest. Therapy was my alibi, coping with identity loss. But underneath I plotted. Learned his tics, the way he favored single malt scotch, his aversion to cilantro. Injected myself with Botox to slacken his perpetual smirk, practiced his golf swing in empty boardrooms. Became him so thoroughly that even our parents, visiting for family support, bought the act. "Ethan, honey, you seem off," Evelyn said once, peering at me over brunch mimosas. I mumbled about stress and she bought it. Blood is thicker, they say. But mine curdled. Back in court, the prosecutor rapped his closing, a smug curl to his lip. "The evidence is damning, Your Honor. Melanie Harper betrayed her family, her legacy. We seek the maximum, 15 years. Hargrove leaned forward, her gaze pinning me. "Ms. Harper? Anything to say before sentencing?" My heart, his heart, thudded like a war drum. The lab report burned in my pocket, a relic from the trash bin where Ethan had tossed it in my body, too cocky to destroy evidence. It detailed the swap, timestamps, vitals, his own sign-off. Fingerprints? Mine, from the consent form I'd signed in good faith. But the metadata? Ironclad, tagged to his user ID. I rose, legs steady despite the tremor in my gut. "Your Honor," I said in Ethan's voice, pitching it low and commanding. "One moment." The paper whispered across the bench, landing with a soft thud. Gasps rippled through the gallery, reporters, distant cousins, a few biotech suits who'd come to gawk. Hargrove scanned it, her brows knitting. "This is irregular. Mr. Prosecutor, Explain this neural transfer log. And why it bears Ethan Harper's digital signature. Chaos erupted. Ethan in my body leapt up, face paling to chalk. Objection. Forgery. But his voice cracked, my old tell under pressure. Evelyn's hand flew to her throat. Harold's jaw slackened.
Ethan?
What is this? The judge banged her gavel. Bailiff, restrain the defendant and the witness in the gray suit. Gray suit. Me, or what was left of her. As cuffs clicked around my wrists, his wrists, I locked eyes with the imposter. In my soft brown gaze, Ethan's panic flickered like a shorting wire. You bitch, he hissed, low enough for only me to hear. You think this ends it? I smiled, Ethan's perfect teeth flashing. Oh, brother. This is just the swap. The holding cell smelled of bleach and despair, a concrete tomb beneath the courthouse where dreams went to rot. They separated us, me into solitary for high profile, him into general pop with the white-collar crooks. I paced the 8x10, adrenaline crashing into bone-deep exhaustion. 6 months of this charade, and the dam had finally broken. But victory tasted like ash. Our parents? They'd crumbled in the hall, Evelyn wailing, Harold stone-faced as he dialed his lawyers. It's a mistake, he'd muttered to the bailiff. Our kids. They're good people. Good people. The phrase echoed like a bad joke. Good people didn't build empires on stolen dreams. Harper Biotech started as Dad's garage tinkering, prosthetics for war vets, prosthetics that worked too well, interfacing with nerves like lovers. Mom handled the books, sharp as a scalpel, turning patents into profit. Ethan inherited the genius, I the grind. By 25, he was CEO, schmoozing VCs in Palo Alto. I was COO in name only, herding interns and signing off on his whims. The betrayal deepened in layers. I discovered his first secret at 22, the affair with our cousin Lila, a summer fling that ended in her suicide when he ghosted her. Pills in the guest bath, note blaming, family pressure. I covered it, swapped the coroner's report, paid off the talk screen. For the company, he begged, tears in his eyes. I believed him. Then the money. Investors pulling out after a trial glitch, limbs twitching uncontrolled, lawsuits piling. Ethan pivoted to consciousness tech, pitching immortality to the 1%ers. I greenlit the budgets, lied to the board. When the feds sniffed around for fraud, I took the heat, a slap on the wrist, community service. You're the rock, Mel, he said, clapping my shoulder. I couldn't do this without you. The swap was the final knife. Project Echo wasn't salvation. It was escape. Blueprints showed donor bodies, vagrants, immigrants, volunteers from overseas clinics. Comas masked as overdoses. Ethan planned to hop into a fresh shell once the heat died, leaving Melanie to rot in prison for his kills. Footsteps echoed down the corridor. A guard rapped on the bars. Harper. Visitor. I expected a suit from the firm. Damage control. Instead, Evelyn shuffled in, eyes red-rimmed, clutching a tissue like a lifeline. She looked smaller without her armor, the pearls dull under the visiting room's glare. Mom, I started, but she held up a hand. Don't. Just. Tell me it's not true. That paper, neural what? Ethan said you hacked it, framed him to get back at us for favoring him. Favoring him? The old wound tore open. Mom, it's me. Melanie. He swapped us. That report. Lies. She slammed the table, voice shrill. Ethan's devastated. In your body, Melanie, looking so lost. He told us everything. How you resented him, how you sabotaged the lab to force this. This madness. I laughed, a bitter bark in his throat. Ask him about the donors. The bodies in the incinerator logs. Or why he kept my ID in his safe, like a trophy. Her face crumpled. You're not my son. My Ethan wouldn't. She trailed off, doubt flickering. For a heartbeat, I saw it, the crack in the facade. Then she straightened. We'll fight this.
Get you help.
Whatever this delusion is. Delusion. The word stung like salt in an incision. She left, heels clicking accusations. Alone again, I sank to the bunk, head in hands. Revenge was a siren's call, promising justice but delivering isolation. Had I become the monster to kill the monster? The trial recess stretched to weeks, motions, forensics on the report. Leaks hit the Trib. Twin tech tycoons in body swap scandal. Pundits on Fox called it Frankenstein fraud. CNN dissected ethics over Chirin's. Protests brewed outside Harper HQ. Bioethicists in lab coats, chanting, "Bodies aren't batteries." Ethan's lawyers pushed for dismissal, claiming sibling rivalry psychosis. Mine, public defender on steroids, dug into the firm's servers, unearthing more emails to a Cayman fixer, wire transfers to a Serbian clinic. The donors had names: Maria from Juarez, trucked north on false promises; Jamal from Detroit, lured by cure for his MS. Visitation day 2, Harold. He entered like a storm cloud, dropping into the chair with a grunt. "This ends now, son." "Dad."
Ethan.
The name landed like a slap. "Your mother's a wreck. The stock's tanking, board circling. Whatever game you're playing, stop. Confess, and we'll get you a plea. Private facility, not this hellhole." I leaned forward, elbows on the scarred table. "Remember the summer I turned 16? You caught Ethan joyriding in your Cadillac, wrapped around a tree. Who took the blame? Me, with my learner's permit. Grounded for a year, while he got a new bike." He shifted, uncomfortable. "You were older, more responsible." "Bullshit. It was always like that. Covering his ass so you could keep your golden boy myth alive." His eyes hardened, veins bulging at his temples. "Watch your mouth. Ethan's built something real. You? Always the dreamer, starting that fool shelter for runaways. Wasted potential." Potential? I'd poured my life into that shelter. Girls' Bridge, a safe house in Pilsen for trafficking survivors. Funded by donations from Harper, skimmed from Ethan's slush. Now, with the freeze on assets, doors were closing. Girls like little Rosa, 12 and scarred from cartel tattoos, sleeping on cots that smelled of mildew. "Dad, the swap wasn't an accident. Check the timestamps." He triggered it to frame me for the embezzlement and the donor deaths. 3 confirmed, bodies dumped in the Calumet like trash. He scoffed, but slower this time. "Proof. Server logs. Ask your IT guy, Phil. He owes me a favor. Remember the poker debt I covered?" Harold stood, chair scraping. "If you're lying." He didn't finish, just walked out, shoulders hunched. Seed planted.
Now water it with time.
Nights blurred into strategy sessions with my PD, a wiry ex-cop named Ruiz who smelled of menthols and skepticism. "This sci-fi crap? Jury eats it up or laughs you out. We need hard ties. Motive means cover-up. Means the lab." I torched the backups before the arrest, but a mirror server hummed in a storage unit under a false name. Motive. Ethan's emails, laced with venom. Mel's too soft for this game. Time she learned her place, 6 feet under, metaphorically. Cover-up. Our parents. They'd known about the trials, vague nods at dinner parties, pushing boundaries. But the deaths? That would break them. Week 3, Ruiz burst in grinning, tablet in hand. Jackpot. Forensics matched the prints on that report to your old body, Ethan's hands, post-swap. And get this, DNA traces in the lab incinerator. Not yours. 3 profiles, all undocumented. The arraignment reconvened under sealed orders, gallery packed with feds in cheap suits. Ethan took the stand first, in my body, paler now, the swap's toll etching lines around my eyes. He spun a tale of woe. My sister. She was unstable, obsessed with equality, sabotaged my work out of spite. The swap? A hallucination she induced with drugs. Hargrove's lip curled. "Mr. Harper, or whoever you are, explain the logs." He faltered, sweat beading on my forehead. Hacked. Deep fake. Then my turn. Ruiz laid it out. Timelines, transfers, the incinerator ash. I testified in Ethan's voice, steady as steel. "He stole my life.
Literally.
and killed to keep his secrets. The twist hit like a sucker punch. Harold, recalled as witness, produced a flash drive. Found this in the safe. Ethan's videos from the clinic. Grainy footage flickered on the courtroom screen. Ethan, in his original body, wheeling a gurney into a sterile room. Maria's face, trusting, then convulsing as the upload began. Her screams cut short by a sedative jab. Cut to Jamal, pleading in broken English. "No, please."
Gasps, then silence.
Evelyn fainted, thudding to the floor. Paramedics swarmed. Ethan lunged, but deputies pinned him. Lies. Edited. Hargrove's gavel silenced the room. Murder charges added. Trial date set for September. As they led him away, he twisted, my face contorted in rage. "You think you're free, Mel? Mom and Dad will never believe." But they did. Evelyn's eyes met mine across the chaos, recognition dawning, horror melting into grief. "My girl," she whispered, hand outstretched. I nodded, his tears, hot on my cheeks. First victory. But the war? Far from over. The federal holding facility in Terre Haute was a gray purgatory, chain-link fences topped with razor wire slicing the Indiana sky into neat, hopeless grids. Transferred there post-arraignment for safety, I traded the county's chaos for supermax solitude, 23-hour lockdowns, meals through a slot, the distant clang of gates like a mechanical heartbeat. Ethan's body adapted in cruel ways, broader strides eating up the cell's confines, a deeper sleep haunted by dreams of my curves, my laugh echoing from a throat that couldn't produce it. Mornings, I'd trace the scars on his forearms, childhood tree-climbing relics I'd envied, and wonder if revenge was worth becoming the ghost in someone else's machine. Letters piled up, screened by censors. Evelyn's first, tear-stained stationery, apologies scrawled in looping cursive. "I see it now, darling. Your eyes, our eyes, in his face. Forgive me. We're fighting for reversal tech, the best minds money can buy." Heralds were brisker, enclosures of legal briefs. Board ousted the old guard. Interim CEO's a climber, but he's yours if you want it. Focus on getting out. Getting out. Bail denied. Flight risk, they said, with Harper's private jet at my disposal. Ruiz visited weekly, chain-smoking outside the glass partition. Feds are building a RICO case. Donor trafficking, international angles. Serbia's extraditing a doc who flipped. He slid photos under the divider. Clinic exteriors, mugshots of low-level fixers. One face stopped me cold. Lila's ex, the cousin's boyfriend who'd OD'd suspiciously post-breakup. "Ethan's cleanup crew," Ruiz muttered. "Your brother's a spider. Webs everywhere." Spider. Fitting. Ethan spun lies like silk, trapping everyone. In isolation, I'd replay the swap night, his grin turning feral as the monitor spiked. "Trust me, Mel. This'll make us equals." Equals. The word soured. I'd slaved for equality, board meetings where he'd mansplain my own proposals, investors chuckling at the sister act. The shelter was my rebellion, a brick-and-mortar fuck you to his cutthroat climb. Girls' Bridge housed 50 at peak, runaways from Gary's Rust Belt despair, Chicago's underbelly teens dodging pimps. I'd named it after the bridges we crossed as kids, me carrying him piggyback when he twisted an ankle, him promising, "Someday I'll save you."
Someday.
Now, with assets frozen, Ruiz reported closures. Cots empty, Rosa shipped to foster care. Boards reallocating funds to legal, he said. Guilt gnawed, sharper than the cell's thin mattress. Was this justice or just trading one cage for another? Pro bono psych evals became my lifeline. Dr. Lena Vizquez, a no-nonsense Latina with tattoos peeking from her cuffs, specializing in dissociative disorders. Body dysmorphia on steroids, she quipped during our first session, via video link. "Talk me through it. Who's driving this bus?" I spilled. The swap's vertigo. Ethan's habits invading like squatters, craving red meat, humming Springsteen tunes I hated. It's like wearing a stranger's skin that's slowly stitching to mine. And the rage. It's not just him. It's them. Mom and Dad, looking through me my whole life. Vasquez nodded, jotting notes. Betrayal's a bitch. Classic family enmeshment, golden child, scapegoat. But here's the controversial bit. Revenge? It's seductive, but it chains you to the abuser. What's your endgame, Melanie? His head on a pike, or your life back? Endgame. I'd fixated on the climax. Ethan in orange, crumbling under cross-exam. But Vasquez poked holes. What if reversal's impossible? You stuck as Ethan forever, CEO, heir, the works. Would you take it? Rule the empire that chewed you up? The question haunted.
Knights, I di pace, plotting contingencies.
Hack the company's quantum drives for swap backups? Bribe a whistleblower insider? Ethan's old PA, Kendra, sharp-tongued redhead who'd crushed on him, owed me. I'd covered her assault charge years back. A bar fight self-defense. Kendra, I'd whisper to the cinderblock walls, time to spin your own web. Vasquez's sessions unearthed uglier truths. Flashbacks to childhood. Ethan drowning the neighbor's cat, blaming me. Me taking the belt lashes, silent as stone. You internalized it, she said. Bore his sins to keep the peace. That's not love. That's trauma bonding. Trauma. The word unlocked floods. I wept. Ugly. Snotty sobs in his baritone, admitting the shelter's dark side. Girls I'd turned away for lack of beds, one who'd vanished back to the streets, found months later in the Chicago River. I failed them. I choked. Just like Mom and Dad failed me. Not failed, Vasquez countered.
Survived.
And survivors get to choose. Forgive and rebuild, or burn it all. Burn it all. Tempting. But doubt crept. Evelyn's letters grew desperate, enclosing ultrasound pics from a fertility doc. Trying for a grandbaby, in case. God forbid. Manipulation? Or genuine ache? Harold's updates mentioned divestitures, selling the Dell's estate, liquidating art. For you, he wrote. To make it right.
Right.
Nothing felt right until Ruiz dropped the bomb in October. Plea deal incoming. Ethan cracks if we offer immunity on the lesser counts. But he wants a meet. You too, supervised. The meet. My gut twisted. Last time we'd talked, he'd been in my skin, sneering over coffee.
Adapt or die, sis.
This body's mine now. They prepped me. Anti-psych meds on standby. Mike's hidden in the table. Neutral site. A drab conference room in the U.S. Attorney's office. Fluorescent buzz like angry hornets. Ethan shuffled in, cuffed, my body gaunt under the jumpsuit, hair greasy and unkempt. Seeing myself like that, a hollowed shell, hit like vertigo. Mel, he said, voice my old lilt, but laced with his drawl. You look heroic. Big bro suit fits. Fuck you, Ethan. The words growled out, raw. He leaned in, chains rattling. Touchy. Look truce? I spill on the donors, the Serbs, whole network. You walk, I get 20 with parole. And the swap. I'll sign off on reversals. Experimental, but our labs have prototypes. Prototypes. Hope flickered, treacherous.
Why now?
Scared of the needle? My eyes narrowed, a flash of the old fire. Because you're winning, and I hate losing. But here's the rub. Mom and Dad? They're done. Dad's got early dementia, stress accelerated it. Mom's popping Xanax like candy. You torch me, you orphan them. Guilt's old hook sank deep. You did that. Your messes. Our messes. He smiled, chilling in my lips. Remember Lila? I pulled the trigger, metaphorically. But you hid the gun. We're in this together, twin. The lie detector hummed, supervised, but he danced around it. Vasquez prepped me. He's gaslighting. Don't engage the sibling myth. It's his anchor. But as guards let him out, he twisted back. One more thing. The paper you slipped the judge?
Que?
But I have backups. Donor lists with your signatures. All those grants you rubber-stamped. Funneled to the clinics. Co-conspirator, anyone? Bluff or truth? My stomach plummeted. The grants, yes, I'd signed blind faith. Could they trace? Ruiz debriefed. He's dangling. Feds want the network. You're collateral. Collateral. Again. Sleepless, I waited. Deal and risk reversal roulette or fight and risk the noose. Controversial choice. Sacrifice family peace for personal truth? Or swallow the poison? Rebuild from ashes? Vasquez's next session. It's your power move, Melanie. But power without purpose? Just another cage. Purpose. The shelter girls. Rosa emailed via Ruiz, crayon scrawl. Miss Melly, come back soon. We miss your stories. Purpose. I greenlit the deal. Ethan spilled. Names, routes, a ledger of horrors. 20 donors, half fatal swaps. Serbia raided, headline screamed biotrafficking bust. Harper Biotech dissolved, assets seized for victims' funds. Plea hearing, Ethan got 25, no parole.
Me?
Dropped charges, but civil suits loomed, donor families, SEC clawbacks. Walking free into a November chill, Evelyn and Harold waited curbside, arms open. Melanie, Mom breathed, hugging Ethan's frame like it was mine. Dad clapped my shoulder, eyes glassy. Proud of you, kid.
Proud.
The word warmed, fragile. But as we drove to the Dells, estate sold, but a rental waited. Doubt lingered. Reversal trials started next month. Experimental, 40% success. Fail, and I'm Ethan forever. That night, over pot roast and uneasy silence, Harold cleared his throat. We were wrong.
Blind.
But we're here now. Here. For how long? Ethan's taunt echoed. Our messes. Morning brought the twist, a courier package, anonymous. Inside, a USB drive, labeled Truth Serum. Plugging it into the rental's laptop, hard hammering, files. Grant docs, my signature's bold. But metadata? Altered, timestamps post-swap. Forged by Ethan, framing me as knowing accomplice. Worse, a video. Me pre-swap in the lab, initialing donor waivers. For the greater good, I say, voice earnest. Cut to Ethan, laughing. Sucker. He'd set the trap years ago, baited with my own trust. The feds had it too, leaked, Ruiz confirmed. New charges brewing. Aiding and abetting. Betrayal's depths. Not just him, but my complicity. I'd borne his crimes, but worn them like badges. Evelyn found me retching in the bathroom. What is it? Everything, I gasped. All of it. She held me, him, fierce. Then we fight. Together.
Fight.
The word ignited. No more scapegoat.
Time to burn the webs.
Winter clamped down on the Dells like a vice, snowdrifts burying the rental's gravel drive, the lake frozen into a vast, indifferent mirror. Reversal trials loomed, a sterile wing at Northwestern Med, funded by liquidated Harper stocks, docs in white coats murmuring probabilities like casino odds. Neural remapping's tricky, lead surgeon Patel explained over lukewarm coffee, his accent clipped Oxbridge. Success rate climbing, 60% now, but risks, amnesia, paralysis, personality bleed. Personality bleed. Ethan's arrogance, seeping permanent into my core. I'd wake craving power suits and conquests, or worse, his buried shames bubbling up like sewage. I delayed, citing prep time. Truth. The USB's poison spread. Feds circled, subpoenas for my cooperation in the grants, painting me as a willing cog in the trafficking wheel. Ruiz scrambled defenses, statute of limitations on some, others, duress via family pressure.
Duress.
Legalese for I was a doormat. Evelyn threw herself into advocacy, testifying before Senate subcommittees on bioethics, her poise cracking only in private. I knew about the trials. She confessed one blizzard night, brandy sloshing in her glass. Vague human advancement. But the girls. God, Melanie, if I dug. Tears carved tracks through her makeup, the unflappable socialite reduced to raw edges. Harold's decline accelerated, dementia stealing names, faces. He'd wander the rentals halls at dawn, muttering about the garage days, when prosthetics were dreams, not death traps. I'd guide him back to bed, his grip frail on my, Ethan's arm. You're a good boy, He'd slur, eyes distant. Better than your brother. Irony twisted the knife. In his fog, I was the son he'd always wanted, untainted. Kendra arrived unannounced, boots shedding slush on the mat, a ghost from Ethan's orbit, red hair bundled under a beanie, duffel slung over shoulder. "Boss lady needs muscle," she said, hugging me awkward. "PA's got dirt. Emails, voicemails. Ethan's ghosting crew?" I forwarded half to the feds before he canned me. Canned for incompetence, she admitted over takeout pizza, her cover blown when she skimmed copies for insurance. "Saw you in him, Mel. The real you fighting for the little guys. Figured I owed." The ledger of debts lengthened. We set up in the basement, laptops humming, printers churning affidavits. Kendra cracked Ethan's encrypted drives, password my birthday, the bastard unearthing gold, chat logs with a Serbian doc, haggling prices like livestock. Prime female, 25 to 30, no priors, €50,000. My stomach roiled. That was me on auction block. But the crown jewel, Project Echo's master file. Blueprints for a permaswap, uploading to Silicon, ditching meat forever. Ethan's endgame, digital godhood, bodies as disposable shells. Donors weren't accidents, they were beta tests. "This goes public," Kendra said, eyes alight. "Harper's not just bankrupt, it's infamous. Wolf of Wall Street meets Black Mirror." Infamous. The word thrilled and terrified. Leaks hit Wired first. Tycoon twins body swap black market exposed. Protests swelled, Chicago streets choked with signs. "My body, my soul." Bio-Luddites clashed with transhumanists, fists flying under news cams. Pundits debated. Victim or villain? Melanie Harper's complicity raises thorny consent questions. Consent. Mine shredded long ago. Vasquez zoomed in weakly, her couch a confessional. "You're at the event horizon, Melanie. Revenge arcs peaking, climax demands a choice. Expose it all, damn the fallout? Or bury it, protect what's left of your family?" Fallout. Civil suits mounted. Maria's widower, a stoic auto worker from El Paso, seeking millions. Jamal's sister, a nurse from Motown, her deposition voice steady. He dreamed of walking again. They stole his last steps. Juries would see Ethan's face on me, trust fund wasp, and convict on optics alone. Decision crystallized over Christmas, Harold's last lucid one. We strung lights on a Charlie Brown pine, Evelyn baking gingerbread despite the chemo she'd started for precautionary breast cancer. Stress spawn, the oncologist sighed. Carols warbled from a tinny speaker, but joy felt borrowed. Mid-dash, silent night, Harold pulled me aside, breath minty with bourbon. The garage. "Remember the first limb? Vet named Kowalski. Lost both legs and nom. When it worked, his grin Mel. Like God smiled. Tears welled. We lost that." Chasing. What? Immortality? For fools who fear death. I squeezed his hand. "We get it back, Dad. The good part." He nodded, fading. "You're the fixer. Always were." Fixer. Not scapegoat. That night, Kendra and I uploaded the master file to WikiLeaks, redacted for victims, but Ethan's blueprint bare. Dawn broke to alerts, CNN ticker. Harper airs immortality plot. Human horror? The climax crashed like a wave. Ethan's prison erupted, riots, inmates baying for the body snatcher. Solitary for him, whispers of witness protection if he testified against the network. But he lawyered up, demanding a deal. Full immunity for the digital upload tech. "It's mine. Mine." The arrogance, unkillable. Feds balked. I pushed Ruiz. Let him rot. We go to trial. Full exposure. Trial date, March, federal courthouse in D.C., media circus primed. I flew coach. Assets gone. But Evelyn's jewelry pawned for tickets. Arriving to paparazzi flashbulbs, chance of justice for Maria. My suit, Ethan's bespoke, tailored now to fit a vengeance forged. Opening statements. Prosecutor, a hawkish woman named Hale, laid Ethan's empire bare, charts of flows, victim holograms flickering like ghosts. Defense. Ethan Shark, pleading diminished capacity. Tragic genius, unchecked ambition. My testimony. Raw, unfiltered. In Ethan's voice, I recounted the swap's terror, the donor's pleas from incinerator vids. He saw us as vessels, empty until filled with his ego. I was first but not last. Gallery wept. Hale nodded fierce. Cross-exam. The shark pounced. Ms. Harper or Mr. You sign the grants. Knew the risks. Complicit. Yes, I admitted, throat tight. Blind faith in family. But knowledge ends complicity. I didn't know the bodies. He hid that. Convenient. And the swap? You volunteered. Masochism, perhaps? Craving his power?
Gasps.
Controversial jab, implying I engineered it for thrills. Vasquez prepped me. Breathe. Truth disarms. No, I said, steady. Curiosity.
Trust.
He weaponized both. Jury leaned in, Midwestern pragmatists, faces etched with farm-hard skepticism. Evelyn watched from front row, clutching Harold's hand. He'd rallied for this, Med's blurring edges. Then Ethan's turn. Wheeled in, shackled, my body shrunken to fragility, swap's toll, or calculated pathos. He testified smooth. Melanie was unstable. Shelter work burned her out. PTSD from the girl stories. She forced the sink, hacked the trigger. Donors? Rogue elements, not me. Lies, silk-wrapped. But the shark screened the video. Ethan haggling, my pre-swap self-oblivious in frame. Explain this, Mr. Harper.
Static.
Then my voice. Price hike on the females? Mel won't like that.
Cut.
Jury murmurs. Ethan's eyes darted, panic cracking the mask. Rebuttal. Kendra, sworn in, dumped the logs. He forged her SIGs post-swap. Classic misdirection. Hale closed. This isn't sci-fi. It's crime, betrayal of trust, bodies bought and broken. Hold him accountable. Deliberation dragged 2 days, snow turning to sleet outside. We hold in a Marriott, Evelyn praying rosaries, Harold dozing to Fox News. Kendra paced, cracking knuckles.
Me?
I wrote letters, to Rosa, to Maria's widower. Apologies, promises of restitution. Verdict, guilty, all counts. Life, no parole. Gavel fell. Ethan sagged, whispering Mel like a curse. Outside, cheers and jeers blended. Heroes to some. Traitors to transhuman cultists yelling, innovation killers. A bottle rocket whizzed past. Secret Service hustled us to vans. Aftermath. Suits settled out of court. Harper remnants funneled to victim trusts. Shelter reopened under new board. Me, advisory only. Reversal? Patel called. 80% now.
But.
Your metrics stabilized. Bleed minimal. You want it.
Stabilized.
Ethan's traits woven in. Assertiveness I lacked. Stomach for fights. But core? Melanie, unbowed. It'll pass, I said. This body's earned its scars. Evelyn hugged me fierce. My girl. Whatever shall. Harold, lucid spark. Proud kid. Fixer supreme. But peace? Elusive. Ethan's appeal loomed. Appeals for clemency from Tech Brothers. And the deeper twist. In his cell, he'd scrawled a manifesto, smuggled out, claiming the swap liberated me. Melanie's thriving as Ethan. True equality. Madness. Or grain of truth. I'd claimed his power, wielded it for good. But at what cost? Family fractured. Secrets unearthed like landmines. Vasquez's final. Ending's yours. Happy? Tragic? Debatable's the spice. Debatable. As spring thawed the dells, I stood lake's edge, wind whipping Ethan's coat around me. Revenge complete, but the echo lingered. Who won the swap? Summer scorched the Midwest like a grudge, humidity clinging to skin like unspoken regrets. A year post-verdict, the Dells rental traded for a modest bungalow. Proceeds from the trust-feeding Girls Bridge expansion. New wing in Milwaukee, solar-powered, with therapy gardens where runaways like Rosa planted sunflowers. faces tilting toward light. I ran at lean, consultant title, boots on ground grit. Ethan's baritone barking orders at contractors, his long legs striding halls that once echoed my heels. Staff adapted. Kids didn't care about shells, only stories. Miss Melly's got the best ghost tales. A newbie giggled, unaware how literal. Evelyn thrived in reinvention, lobbyist for bioreform, testifying in D.C. with firebrand fervor, pearls swapped for protest pins. No more Harper's playing God, she declared, then soften over FaceTime. Lunch soon? Harold's asking for your meatloaf. Harold's meatloaf, my old recipe, adapted for his tremors. Dementia won slow battles. Good days. He'd tinker in the bungalow's shed, prosthetics prototypes for shelter kids, simple grippers for scarred hands. Back to basics. He'd rasp, glue-flecked fingers steady. Bad days. He'd call me Ethan, eyes vacant. Where's your sister? Troubled girl. Troubled. The label lingered, a scar from court shrinks labeling my pre-swap devotion, codependent delusion. Vasquez retired to Florida. Last words a zinger. You're integrated, Melanie. Ethan's ghost? Exorcised. Now live, messy, debatable yours.
Messy.
The appeals dragged. Ethan's lawyers dredging new evidence. A witness from Serbia, claiming I pre-swap. Recruited donors via the shelter. Runaways funneled to clinics, cash incentives. Bullshit, but seeded doubt. Tabloids revived. Twin torment. Was Melanie mastermind? Online sleuths dissected my life. Old Instapics, shelter audits, fueling threads. She knew. Enabling bitch. Enabling. The accusation festered. Kendra, now COO of the nonprofit, dug defenses. Audits clean, no ties. But privately, she'd eye me wary. You okay, boss? Looking. Haunted. Haunted. Nights. I'd wake sweating, Ethan's dreams invading. Power highs, the rush of closing deals, bodies yielding to his will. I'd bolt to the porch, lake lapping black, chain-smoking menthols, his vice, not mine, plotting countermeasures. The final play, expose the appeals as sham, flip the witness with a wire. But fate twisted first. August heatwave, a call from Terre Haute. Inmate Harper, suicide watch. Says he's you. Visitation cleared lightning, feds monitoring, Kendra driving shotgun in her battered Subaru. Ethan in the booth, my body wasted to bones. Orange jumpsuit hanging like a shroud. Tubes snaked from arms, detox IVs, psych meds. My eyes, dull marbles. Mel, he croaked, receiver greasy. Come to gloat. Curious, I said, voice even.
Why now?
Appeals your lifeline. He laughed, wet and broken. Lifeline? This prison, your body, crumbling. Swaps reversing natural, estrogen surges, bones thinning. Docs say 6 months tops. Schadenfreude soured. My shell, dying from within. Karma's a scalpel. His gaze sharpened, old cunning flickering. Not karma. Design flaw. Echoes code. Self-destruct if host rejects. You're stable cause you wanted this. Power, sis.
Admit it.
Wanted. The word probed. Had I? In the bungalow's quiet, signing payroll in a scrawl, fielding investor calls for expansion funds. Yes, a thrill. Commanding rooms, no longer the sister. But at what price? Rose's trust, earned over bedtime reads in my old voice. Now, kids flinched at my timbre, whispering, Miss Melly sounds like a dude. Flaw or not? I pressed, spill the appeals. The Serb, your plant. He sagged, chains clinking.
Yeah.
Bought testimony. Your SIGs on waivers. But here's the real twist, Mom knew. Early. Donors routed through her charity galas, orphan fundraisers. She greenlit. Liar. Or was he? Evelyn's reforms rang hollow if true. Proof. Cell block lawyers got docs. Trade. Get me reversal. Private wing. I walk, you keep the empire. Empire. Dissolved, but seeds sprouting, new firm, ethical prosthetics, me on the board. Tempting. Controversial. Bargain with the devil for family secrets?
No deal, I said. Rot.
His laugh again, dying gasp. You'll regret. Truth's a boomerang. Driving back, Kendra silent till Gary's outskirts. Buy it. Half. The other half. Test Evelyn. Confrontation over Labor Day brunch. Bungalow deck. Ribs smoking. Harold napping inside. Evelyn in linen whites. Poised as ever. The Serb, Mom. Did you know? Fork paused midair. Salmon flaking. What nonsense. Waivers. Galas. Orphans to clinics. Her eyes, my eyes, hardened. Ethan's poison. Twisting history. But the docs. Fakes. She slammed the plate. I bury doubts for you, funding your shelter from the scraps. If I'd blown the whistle sooner. Voice cracked. Harold's mind, my health, stress, all of it. You're free because I fought, Melanie. Not him. Truth? Partial. I saw it. Her complicity, veiled in maternal sacrifice. Betrayal's fractal, layers peeling to bone. Free. I echoed. Am I? She reached across, hand cool on mine, his knuckles. As you choose. Stay as Ethan, rebuild. Or reverse. Be my girl again.
Choice.
The climaxes echo. Appeals judge tossed the Serb. Perjury charges incoming. Ethan faded, body failing. Last letter, smuggled. You win. But equality? Illusion. We're the same. Monsters and mirrors. Monsters. Debatable. I chose the bungalow life. Ethan's frame, Melanie's heart. Expansion groundbreaking. Ribbon cut with Rose's tiny hand in mine. Cameras flashing. For the donors, I said, voice booming. Real second chances. Evelyn beamed beside, Harold waving foggy. Kendra toasted later. To debatable endings. Ending. Happy?
Betragic?
Readers, reporters, now, argued in op-eds. Harper's redemption arc. Feminist triumph or Frankenstein folly? Forums raged. She should have reversed stuck as bro?
Nah.
Others. Powers genderless. Iconic.
Me?
Lake at dusk. Sun dipping blood orange. Wind whispering secrets. Revenge's blade dulled, but scars itched. Reminders of the swap's cost. I'd borne sins. Unburdened others. Family mended. Fragile as kintsugi. Ethan's ghost? Integrated. A shadow advisor. His ruthlessness tempering my mercy. One final hook. A package. Postmarked Terre Haute. Inside, a vial, serum remnant, labeled reversal. Last dose. Yours if you dare.
Dare.
I smashed it under heel. Glass crunching like closure.
No more swaps.
This body's mine, earned in courts, cells, confessions. As stars pricked the velvet sky, I raised a toast to the water, to the fixer, and the fixed. Debate rages on. But peace? That's the real twist.